What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin Cash. Shout out to the Dragon Riders in the House of the Dragon. We're talking about this one for you, Slow Key. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I appreciate everybody for being here. We are sitting at about $386, and I gotta say, guys, I'm surprised. I'm surprised that I haven't had more people talking smack in the comments, man. Normally, at this point in time, it's like as we're at the high points, that's when you guys come out of your caves. But some people, but not. It's very minuscule compared to what it's been throughout the whole cycle. I wonder if people are really in like people are just capitulated. We're really at that point in crypto where people have stepped away. They're tired of watching it go down. They're not even here to talk smack. I don't know. I want to address a couple things in this video. And first and foremost, Kevin. Shout out to Kevin, who was talking about this thing, talking about Bitcoin Cash and how if it moves down to 260, 270 like I'm calling for it to do, and then moves up by 1,700 by the end of the year, that seems a bit unlikely. Let's say it happens by the end of this month, something like that, 260 at the lowest, right? And we move all the way up to 1,700 by the end of the year, which would basically be in this amount of time. That'd be a 570% move, and that seems a bit unlikely. Why does that seem unlikely? Because if you take it from this low to this high, we moved up about 264%. If you take it from this relative low here to when we moved up about 228%. Even if you took it all the way from the low here, which was a lot more time, it's still only 232%, right? It can move up fast when it wants to move up. But we haven't seen something like 576%, right? That's a bit of a far ask. I do still have that $1,700 target. I think at a minimum we would see $1,200 by the end of the year. And I am still calling for lower prices. I haven't seen enough of the chart to be convinced otherwise yet, and we'll go over that. But the main reason why I do, and I answered this in the comments, but this is for other people who might be thinking similarly. We don't have enough time to do that by the end of the year. I think we do. I really think that we do, and I think that we can grow a lot, actually. And the reason why is if we look at our BCH BTC chart, this is the main reason why. And I've said this, I've been talking about this, since this low, really, right? Since we've actually made our way above this 123 consistently. We're below it now, but we were above it for a while. This next move up for BCH will likely take us, right, to our next high, regardless of where that be. We don't have to agree where that is, right, when that is, if it takes all this time, if it takes a little bit of time, wherever it is, however long it takes, we'll be at our next high. I think all of us agree that, right, with this next move, that it'll probably take us up to our next high. When that happens, I would also assume that we will be above these highs on the BCH BTC chart. We will probably be above these highs. That's a very big deal. That's a very big deal, you guys. The reason why it's a big deal is because every person who's doubted BCH, the biggest and only legitimate argument that they have is that it's lost value versus Bitcoin versus BTC for its entirety of its existence. It has various points where it pumps, sure, but not sustained. This is the first time where we've had various points that it pumps, but it has a non-sustained move down. We've got one discernible low here, another discernible higher low, and then another one there. Two discernible higher lows, 3 lows in total. I do think that was our low. Time will tell. But if and when we are moving up and breaking out of this, I would assume that we break out of this, and that's a very big deal. It's an extremely big deal. People can talk all the smack they want about how long Bitcoin Cash has dropped, but not this cycle. No. What this would mean is exactly what we all know, what we all very much believe, all the Dragon Riders out there, what we all believe is going to happen this cycle, right? And we've had the hopes would happen each cycle before, but BCH has been suppressed. There's a whole bunch of theories as to why. I think it's a combination of probably everybody's theories, which my thoughts are, it's been suppressed because for every Bitcoin Cash in existence, there were Bitcoin wallets out there that got that Bitcoin Cash. People that don't believe in BCH or wanted to see it fail, they probably just dumped the markets, right? Continued to dump it, whatever. There's price suppression for that. Imagine if Bitcoin, if everybody chose BCH as the top dog and then everybody sold their BTC. It's not that BTC would be dead forever. I mean, maybe it would be, but it would probably take a lot of time to figure its shit out, to get going again. You know, it's only been one cycle that Bitcoin Cash has been consolidating for, right? We go to this, I'm going to go to BCH USD on Coinbase here for the all-time history, right? It's not a downtrend. People want to say it's a downtrend versus Bitcoin. Okay, sure, it absolutely is. But versus the US dollar, this is not a lower low. It's actually technically a higher low. We do have lower highs, but it's a consolidation phase. We've been consolidating, which means we're getting ready to break out one way or another. We're about to pick death and destruction forever for Bitcoin Cash, which if you know anything about Bitcoin Cash, that just doesn't sound right, man. There's a lot going on in the BCH space, man. There's a lot going on with its development. And it's utilized. Like, there are a lot of merchants that accept it. It's one of the most accepted by merchants in the space. So it's either going to choose death and destruction, or it's going to choose glory and riches. And I think I'm not the only person that believes that it's going to, but the people who doubt it, their only argument is about to be stripped away from them. And when that happens, when will that happen? It will likely happen on this next move up. Likely, it will, right? Whenever we get this new high, I would expect that we get a new high versus this too. It will become inarguable, infallible, absolutely proven that Bitcoin Cash is in its first uptrend versus Bitcoin ever, and that we are in it at the point where, like, in this cycle, we still have probably about a year, if not more time, like a year and a few months left in this cycle, right? It's a lot of time for Bitcoin Cash to go more than Bitcoin. That could attract the attention of investors beyond just like the regular crypto space, right? Bigger, like, institutional money, people who have had their doubts, but now that they see that, or they start to, like, maybe they come around to the idea that it actually is gaining value versus Bitcoin. It is still, and it always has been, one of the top cryptos by market cap in the space, right? Number 16 right now, right? It sees a ton of volume regularly, and it's one of the cheapest ones to transact, right? It's absolutely, especially out of like the top 20 coins, top 50 coins even, it's one of the cheapest to transact. And it sees a lot of volume regularly. So it's used, it's cheap, it's fast, it's more effective and efficient. And it's about to do something that it's never done before, which is cast an uptrend versus Bitcoin. That's the last step to glory, and that's why I keep going back in circles, back and forth on this. But that's why I think that absolutely 1700 is possible, even if by the end of this month we are down at like 260 to 270. We're at 287 right now. Let's get to the main point beyond all the pep talk, whatever. Go back to USDT on Binance here, right there. 287 right now. I've told you guys what it would take for me to admit that I was wrong. We're getting close, but we're not quite there yet, right? We could even get there, and it still doesn't mean that I'm wrong, right? We could go up to $410 and then turn around from there. We could turn around from there, and I could still be proven wrong. We could bounce off the 236. It's a very common thing to do. We could bounce off the 069. We might form some kind of slightly lower low, and I'm calling for 260 to 270. I guess that'd be pretty. Technically, I said 280 to 260, but I've refined it to 260, 270. You know, even if we get a slightly lower low, that might not validate me completely, but at least it would invalidate me less than a move like up like this. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced yet that this is the low. It's looking convincing. It is absolutely looking convincing, but not convinced yet. Haven't seen enough. It's just another lower high. We're at a point right now where if I put a line at the top here, we're literally at areas that we continued to find resistance time and time again. Where we found support previously, we could find resistance here now. If I move this fib down to this relative high that started us on our down move here, you know, we're at the 0.5. It's not common to reject the 0.5, but it does happen. We could reject this area here. And I often say you don't find significance on the 0.5, but when you do, you get significant moves. We could get a significant move off of this. You know, it could take us down. And again, even down to 260, that's not that far away from there. Perhaps we don't see 1700 by the end of the year. Perhaps it is closer to this, maybe not that price. Perhaps it is closer to 1200, or 1,000. It could. I think 1,200 would be the minimum target that I have, but I'm sticking with my 1,700 guess that I laid out on the Bitcoin Cash podcast, right? And I pride myself on my long-term analysis versus my short-term analysis, especially. That doesn't mean it has to happen, but you make a compelling argument, and there's definitely reasons to believe why, obviously, based even off of this phenomenal growth, why we might not have enough time left in the year to see that kind of growth. But my argument is, and I think it's a very big argument, we're about to see game-changing shit happen with Bitcoin Cash, guys. This really is a big deal. And if it's less of a big deal than I'm making it out to be, my bad. To me, it's a big deal. Then I don't know why it wouldn't be a big deal to everybody else, but this really is a big deal. And the people that are in the space that are smart, that look for opportunities, they look for the things that are outperforming Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash has already been outperforming Bitcoin this whole cycle. But when it has an uptrend versus Bitcoin for this cycle and it's established, that's a whole different look, guys. It's a whole different look. And I'm just running in circles here. I got nothing else to say. I'm not convinced that we're moving up yet. The daily RSI doesn't look the best, in my opinion, but hey, we found support in this area before. It could be. Sorry, that's the weekly RSI. Daily RSI in itself, we do have higher highs with lower highs still. It's hidden bearish divergence, which is not actually a good thing, but we don't have confirmed hidden bearish divergence until we get a red day, which we almost had yesterday, but we didn't. On a 4-hour basis, we do have some bearish divergence coming in. Volumes building as we're moving up. That looks good. That would indicate that we could move higher, but it kind of does look like we're at like the that might not be the best line to draw. Something like that maybe. Come on, let me maybe I'll just draw a straight line because I just can't seem to get it right. It does look like we're at like the top end of this range, so it wouldn't surprise me if we move down. Bearish divergence on the 4-hour. If this 4-hour, the next 2 hours and 42 minutes closes red, it would look like we're rejecting the overbought zone, which would also potentially send us down. I think it might. On the 1-hour basis, we don't have bearish divergence, actually. It's actually kind of a good look on the 1-hour. That 1-hour is very bullish, but we are overbought. How much higher do we go? Probably not by much. I'm not going to be convinced that this is the low until we close a day above $410. At that point, I will wave the white flag. Until then, you guys know what it is. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.